Hi everyone, good morning. It's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today is Monday, it's December the 5th. So I hope you had a great weekend and that you're looking forward to a fun and exciting week ahead. I had a really nice weekend. It was very cold here, but I got out and walked around the lake and visited some of our local Christmas markets and just had a really nice time. But I hope you did something fun as well. And please share with us, what your adventures were this weekend, what things you got up to. Be really interested to know how you're spending your time. Now, I've got a cup of tea with me this morning. I've got my Puka Love Tea, which is one of my favorites. It's got lavender, rose, and chamomile. And it's a really lovely tea and very, very nice for a cold winter morning. So hope that everything's well with you. I had an experience last week that I wanted to share with you and talk a little bit about a related subject today. I went to the post office last week and I was mailing some packages and I was just, thinking about things and walking out casually. Got halfway across the road and this little voice behind me is, "Madam, madam." And I turned around and there was this really lovely young woman who had my glasses in her hand. I'd left them on the counter. And she said, she was so sweet and came up and she'd walked all the way, from the post office to give them to me. And of course I was very embarrassed and a little bit, apologetic that I had, caused her trouble, but she was sweet and I got my glasses back. Okay, so I started to think, I've got to pay more attention to things. I just have to be a little bit more thoughtful when I'm out and about. And perhaps you've had this kind of wake-up call as well. Of course, I leave my keys around and I forget, why I've come into the room and, silly little things that I don't pay too much attention to. But when it impacts things, like losing my glasses or, important safety things, then it's time to take a look at my brain health and look at how creative ways I can use to remember things. So we have written quite a few articles about brain health. I interviewed a really great man, Dr. Medina, on the aging brain. We talked about the things that affect your aging brain, like nutrition, exercise, and avoiding stress. And I would encourage you to watch the interview. It's so funny. He was a really nice man and very focused on the health of the brain. But we talked about how the brain does not degenerate as you get older. It's one of these things, it's just we just don't prioritize correctly. And I remember once reading a poster. It says something like, don't ever be afraid of getting old. Just be afraid of getting boring. And so I thought, okay, if I've got to exercise my brain and keep it active, let's do some fun things, some creative things that will help my brain stay active and remember things. So I have an article that we wrote a little while ago about this, and it gives five or six different ways that you can creatively exercise your brain. And maybe you've got some ways that you do it as well, some ways you keep your brain active and alive. But anyway, we don't want to be boring, do we? We want to be full of creativity and vitality. So these are some of the ideas for you. First thing is to learn a new language. Now, I, as you know, live in a country where English is not the main language. It's German, and so I've had to learn a little bit of German. But the language that I've tried most hard to learn is Russian. I have Russian relatives, and it's been really helpful to be able just to say, how are you doing, and be able to communicate. So learning a new language on a social level was really helpful for me. But on a practical level, it actually helps your brain enormously. It really does create these kinds of synaptic nerve endings. It does something really special to your brain to learn a new language. So that's one thing that we definitely think, if you, just for fun, there's some free online programs. Duolingo is one of them. And then there's another one called Babbel, which does have a charge with it, but very, very good program. So learn a language. That's one thing to keep your brain active and, just broaden your view of the world. Another thing is to play games. Now, when I say play games, I mean games, online games. And gaming is really fun. I mean, a lot of women in our age group love to play games online. Things, simple games like Sudoku and chess, all kinds of traditional games, but also, some of the more interesting ones where you can role play and, storytelling. It's really a world that's growing and an area that's developing. And we can do this online in our home, in our pajamas, and stretch our brains. There's a site called Lumosity, where there's a charge to join, but they have specially designed brain games. And it's a really good site. There's plenty of them, but just think about challenging yourself, challenging your brain with online games. That's another great idea. Keep mentally active. That's the key thing. Another thing is to build a rich social life. Now, Dr. Medina and I talked a lot about this, that having family and friends is really important to your brain health, because conversations, ways of thinking about things differently, especially if you talk to younger people or people out of your age group or your interest group, it just gives you something to be challenged by. And of course, do things together, take trips, spontaneous trips, do things together like watch movies together and then talk about it. Have a conversation about the theme and about what your interpretation was. Join a book club. Do things where you can be sharing ideas with other people. Just push conversations to another level, because that stimulates the brain and keeps it healthy. And of course, just be curious. Be curious about life. There is so much to learn, so much to experience, and just having a curious mind. And the mindset of a lifelong learner, that's another thing. Always be looking at new ways of developing your insights and your knowledge. It's really fun. Now, the next thing to do is to do things differently. Have you ever tried to brush your teeth with the opposite hand? If you're right-handed, try brushing your teeth with your left hand. It's very interesting. Or try to wash the dishes or do things with the opposite hand. And that, even just doing a routine thing like that differently, does good things for your brain. Another suggestion is if you travel by car or anyway, by bike, by train, just go a different route. Instead of always going the same way, same streets, try something different. Give your brain a chance to rethink a situation, create a new scenario. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And go somewhere that you've never been before. We talk about this a lot actually, because I'm a big train and bus rider, and I often do just jump on the number one bus and see where it takes me. It's 2 francs or not even $1 in some places. If you have a bus pass, it's free, and you can just go somewhere different. Get off the bus, go have a coffee in a little cafe in the town or where you've ended up, and get a girlfriend to go with you. Just find a friend and do something out differently this week. Try something different. Another thing is to learn a musical instrument. How many of you have said, "Oh my gosh, I wish when I was younger I had learned to play the piano or the flute or the harp, just something different?" Well, in your 60s, you've got this chance to not only learn a new instrument and stretch your brain there, but just to find pleasure in an artistic expression. I didn't learn any instruments when I was a child, and I guess I played the recorder in school, but I didn't have the opportunity, and sometimes I do wish I had. Maybe I will one day, but has anybody in our group done this? Picked up a new instrument and tried it for the first time and then taken lessons? What the cool thing is, online now, you can learn just about everything for free. I know it's amazing. On YouTube, you can just type in guitar lessons, and there's somebody doing, promoting their business, but teaching the basics. It's really, really nice to have that technology. And then a final thing is to write your memoirs. Just writing down your life creates nostalgia, which is really good for the brain, says Dr. Medina and others. And also just telling your story gives you this richness of experience that stimulates memory, which is another great activity for your creative brain. So those are some ideas there. And another thing about writing is if you share with your friends and family, That goes back to that point about engaging with others. It gets a conversation going. It keeps it keeps your life active as well as your brain. So that's some thoughts on how to use creative techniques to stimulate your aging brain and to keep it healthy and happy. So I think that's really hopefully been helpful for you. Have you had any interesting efforts to keep your brain going and discovered a technique or some games or online sites that you'd like to share? Please do, and we can join a conversation together and do what we do best on 60andMe, which is to help each other have a happy, time in our lives after 60 and to be friends for one another. So thank you so much again for being here today on Mornings with 60andMe. I would love to ask you again to make an introduction to a new friend. Tell them about Mornings with 60andMe. We love to have new people joining us. It gives us a fresh perspective on things. So please tell a friend. They can go up to, or you can go to mornings, it's 60andme.com/mornings. That's where you can get these stories first and join the conversation here every day. So my question for today is really simple. What do you do to exercise your brain? What tips and tricks have you got for the rest of the women in our community? Really, really great to share the conversation. What do you do to exercise your brain? Hope you have a great day, everybody. Take good care, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow on Mornings with 60andMe.